Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know how much I can cover because a lot has been said today. A lot touched our heart. I could feel through some of the sessions we were having goosebumps and near tears to our eyes. Those were the kind of words that we've heard today. But it all brought me to one quote that's so famous and all of us know about, from Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. And I think, Dr. Awa, that's the way you have paved for all of us through this education collaborative. Thank you very much. I think we all need to applaud him for his vision of bringing us together. Just to give you a brief background about me, because I don't come from West Africa or East Africa, where many of you come from. I come from Southern Africa, trying to make a mark into West Africa at the moment. So we come from Botho University, which is based out of Botswana. And for me, the name Botho, as you would know, Botho or Ubuntu, that's an old humanity in itself in the African culture. In Africa, and especially in South Africa, it's a philosophy for many indigenous tribal groups. So we believe that Education Collaborative is a Botho of all universities. And thank you very much. A lot has been said today on how education has moved. We've all read the reports from OECD on the future of jobs and future of education, which really shows us as higher education institutions that we all have to change the way things have been done. A lot has been done over the last 10 years, I think. The times when I went to university and the times of university now have changed dramatically. And I'm sure many of you around would also recognize that. So I would like to just sort of sum up what has come up today in the various discussions, starting with Professor Owusu, who talked about what is the transformation. And transformation to us is not getting from point A to point B, because the point B is a moving goalpost. So we need to be dynamic enough in order to change. I like the fact that Professor Angela was actually saying that it's not transformation that we are assessing, but it is the trajectories that is making the transformation happen. That's what we need to assess. And I think that's such a strong statement. And in Education Collaborative, in the last 2 years that we've been part of the collaborative, we've learned lots of ways in which we can make that trajectory happen. And that's a big learning that we've got in these past few years. We need to understand the dynamics of sustainability. As we know, in the world, sustainability plays a big part in whatever we do. And that has to be built into what we do and also transferred into the future generations. And I think it's a big responsibility on us to transfer that sustainability. So I really like the fact that through the assessments that we are doing on the best practices and the intended purposes of these best practices, we are able to assess whether we are making the move in the right direction. So thank you, Prof. Angela, for bringing those topics up and especially, trying to focus on the trajectory to transformation. Moving on, and also we heard Rose Dodd talk about the milestones that the collaborative has made in terms of coalition and partnership. It's really heartening to see how we are all coming together in order to benefit the continent and the future generation that's going to change the world and change things, the way we do things. So what struck me most is the trust, the fact of trust and success. And I think, to me, they are very complementary. And that is shown within this hall here. It's because we trust each other as partners that we are able to share best practices and bring that into our own institutions. And I think it's giving us that safe zone to collaborate. And that has been the best part that I took out of what Rose was presenting today. She talked about the regional hubs that are collaborating, and I was just talking to some South African universities just at break time to say, we cannot be left behind. We need to be collaborating together. So definitely, that's something that we look forward to, Ross. And these consolidated learnings and these collaborations are what makes us stronger. As we've been hearing in the morning from the speakers, it's very, very important, because I think the purpose of all of us is the same, is to build that good citizen for the future, and who can really change the world and change the continent and change what happens in Africa. And so there can be competition, but the competition has to be healthy in order to say, how can I improve on you, and not how can I just push you down and go forward. So I think that's what the collaborative is teaching us. And it was really nice to take that feedback from Rose, and I'm sure the report that is coming out on the impact over the last 3 years will tell us a lot of stories. Then going into the conversation, which was between Dr. Iyer and Peter, it was really heartening. As I mentioned right at the beginning, it really brought goosebumps to a lot. I really was almost in tears in hearing some of the things, because, it takes a lot for somebody to take that plunge and do the changes. And that was really good. And I think the Education Collaborative is so much in line with the African theme of it takes a village to raise a child. And I think us coming together is going to make that child better and better by the day. So one of the, I think, coming together on what the conversation did, for me, the thing for the Vision 2030, which is really helping a lot of young leaders from the MasterCard Foundation. I think this is something that was talked about, and we could see the MasterCard Foundation's passion in order to enhance education within the continent. And through the collaborative, let's hope that we can all take advantage of this funding opportunities and give the youngsters an opportunity to excel themselves and even follow their dreams. Then, of course, Dr. Iyer talked about the ranking and the key metrics, which I'm sure struck a chord. Something we are all familiar with. What are we tackling? What are we tackling? Everybody is tackling the same issues: leadership, the leadership issues, corruption issues, inadequate resources, unemployment of youth. And it really is good that all the initiatives that are put out from the higher education institutions are actually addressing these issues. I know we still haven't got there, but at least it's a start that we have. When you talk of providing infrastructure for research and innovation, we all know funding has a big role to play. And funding doesn't come so easily, but it is through these collaborative efforts and making that difference that we can show the world that their money can make a difference, and sort of lure in funders to actually fund for a just cause. I like the fact that you said that the focus has to be on the students. And definitely, we are all here because students are our number one stakeholders. And of course, we owe a lot to the community where we are going to send these students. So I think in the effort in transforming that student that comes to us, we would have achieved something if that student makes a mark in the community around. And that was really good. And I like the fact that the ranking metrics that you talked about did not talk just about infrastructure, research, papers published. It talked about a lot that everybody is able to do, because if you now restrict it to one or two, I'm sure it's going to be very difficult for many of us to compete, and we're not going to be subjecting ourselves to ranking. It was very heartening to hear when you said that there is no difference. You can be wood, silver, or gold, but it's aspiring to be that gold all the time. And you have others who are helping you in that. And I think that was key to me in the ranking system. I know we all get worried when we are ranked or assessed to say, are we doing well? Where do we stand in the... But if we are confident that even if we haven't reached the number one mark, there are others who are up there who are helping us to get there. And I think that is a big message that we got out of that discussion this morning. And I hope you all agree with me that this collaborative really can help us take us to that next phase of where we want to go, and next phase in our journey. And I like also, there was talk about developing centers of excellence. I'm sure some of you are already doing some of these things in your areas. It'll be nice that through these collaborative, we get information on the centers of excellence that you would like to develop, and we all can participate, and that's how these centers become bigger. So, end of the day, what do we want? Job-ready students, ready to hit the market, either being employed by somebody or employing a lot of people. So, and I think that is the pillars that Education Collaborative has stood for. The employability, entrepreneurship, which can really change the economy and address many of the SDGs, and of course, which needs good faculty, good research, and ethical leadership. So I think that's how I would like to say that it is how the whole philosophy within the collaborative has gone on. And of course, after the whole conversation, we did hear everybody talk about the consolidated learnings over the last 3 years, and also talked about what you're going to hear in the, I'm sure all of you are excited about what you're going to see. I was really happy about the ethics and leadership track, which talked of having the ethical campus and giving voice to values. And for those, if you haven't known about it, it was this giving voice to values, I think is so valuable, and I think all of us really need to take it to our institutions, because I think that can really change the way, the mindset of the students that we are going to nurture. And to me, that was a very strong program that we can look at. And faculty development, I was really excited to hear about how they are looking at changing the way of teaching in among the faculties. Just to share a small story, I mean, at Botho, we introduced what is called a student-centered education and changed the way of teaching in order to incorporate the softer skills right into the curriculum. So, you know, what was how do you communicate, how do you present, all those were brought into the classroom and not sat outside like a standalone module. And we are happy that we could present this at the last convening, and I think over the last couple of days, I've had a couple of colleagues who came and said, we are trying to implement that within our universities. We feel happy because it's something that we thought worked and we shared, and we are sure that by applying it, you're going to give us more lessons and that we can improve what we are doing. But that really showed the power of collaboration that we have within the network. I'm very excited about the entrepreneurship track, so I will actually ask you, all of you, to attend that, because that's the track that we are leading with Eneka. So you heard how she talked about the testing tool that we are trying to do. So over the last, on the build-up to the convening, we had a month of entrepreneurship month, wherein we had webinars. There was so much of interaction from all the universities which were part, and even outside of the network. We could hear there were so many challenges which talked to each other, and we knew, how do you measure the entrepreneurial mindset? How do you come up with this? How do you fund it? How do you integrate it into curriculum? So there was so much of discussion, and I'm sure by attending these, we are going to enhance all the ideas that has come through. So I'll urge all of you to attend that. And of course, careers and employability track. You've heard they're coming up with with career mentor pools, career services, system change in career systems. And what was shocking is, not shocking, I think we all know that we have to find 12 million jobs annually for 30 million youth entering the job market. That's really a massive, mammoth task for all of us. So I think we all really need to work hard in order to get there. So I urge all of you to attend the sessions throughout the next 2 days. And also, those of you who haven't yet joined the collaborative, I would encourage you to do that. Just to give you a background, as I mentioned, we've been with the collaborative for just over 2 years, and I think our learning has been immense. We've been able to share on some of the areas that we do well, but also learn a lot from those people who are doing so well. So I would urge all of you to contact the Education Collaborative and join that and benefit from that. Share your learnings, because we are not keeping any secrets. We want to keep something. We are not here to close on what we do best, but we are here to open up and share best practices. So with that, it's been wonderful, and thank you very much.